there it goes. Yeah, how do I do that? Yeah, there you go. It's recording us. Da, da, da. Example paintings. Bring my other example up. Emily, you in? Hey, Emily, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing all right. We got Jamie hopping in. Hi, Jamie. Hi. I'm gonna swap cameras here. I was just getting my other camera aligned.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Da, 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 da. I think it defaults with the camera off, so I can't see any of you guys. How you been? You hanging in there?
We have pizza coming.
What is wrong with this thing? Hold, please.
I want some pizza.
No, I went and bought the stuff. Soren's here. We have pizza coming.
Okay.
All right.
Who has pizza coming?
We have pizza coming.
Oh, sweet. Where do you order from?
Rosati's.
Rosati's?
The best in the neighborhood.
Have you had Magaveros?
Yeah.
Butter. I bought yogurt. And
It is kind of far. It's technically not in there. Hi, Heather.
Hi, we're together.
How are you?
We both paid separately, but we're together. So.
Hey, whatever works. It's all good. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for paying. Thanks for buying a ticket. So is Rosati's your favorite too, or no?
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, Dan, you gotta get it. It's the best one over
It's
here
really
in the
good.
same neighborhood.
All right, all right. That'll be the next pizza place I go to then. I usually go to Magaveros.
Oh my God, I love mugs.
Because of the old time, Spain's favorite,
Oh, totally. All right, let's go. Okay.
So we're still waiting on a few people to join us. I'm gonna take my time getting started. So
Yeah. Macy, you ready to paint?
Get your water, get your canvas and your brushes and all that jizz. I still haven't put any paint on my palette yet.
Okay, you can see from over here, right? These are your paint brushes. You guys need water? Yeah. One.
So we got some little ones painting with us today too.
Yeah, Macy's on too.
Yay! Awesome. Thanks for painting with me. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah, she is 8.
This one's perfect.
Thrilled.
This one's perfect for Mommy and Heather because they don't like sketching things first, and this one has no sketch. So
Yes, I was gonna say
No pencils needed.
no pencils needed today.
We're working moms, my friend. We are like by the seat of our pants getting here and like setting up. So sketching.
Yeah, I look like I'm calm, cool, and collected, but it was a little frazzled these last 15 minutes, to be honest with you. I was finishing up my work day, and I still got a whole bunch of web design development stuff to do.
Hey, Dan.
Keeps getting bigger. Yeah, what's up?
When COVID's over, try to get our kids together and play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. You live in the neighborhood still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hoffman, yeah.
For now, anyway. Yeah.
What street do you live on?
I'm gonna paint.
Just off of Hassel Road.
Very nice.
Where?
Just off of Hassel.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
I live off of Hillcrest.
And I live on Lakeside Plaza.
Yeah.
Lakeside Plaza.
We live right by
So fancy.
Prairie, actually.
The what? The wire? Who know what?
Tell you my address.
No.
No, you don't need to say your address.
Don't
That's
say
perfectly fine. Mommy and me will text each other when it comes time. After all this silly sickness stuff goes away, right? We're all tired of it.
Yeah.
Tired of it. For gosh sakes. For gosh sakes.
Wow from it.
Still waiting on like 4 people. What's going on, 4 people?
In.
4 people are 4 minutes late.
Wow. Jeez.
Hey.
The Brown's supposed to be coming. Yeah, if she doesn't make it, she'll just have to watch the replay, I guess.
Oh, because of it.
You look so joyful too.
Yeah.
It's like
Grandpa Jim's coming.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! And I'm like talking to the guy, and I'm like,
Emily, there you are. Hi.
Yeah,
Good to see
hey.
you.
I was just getting set up, and I don't have like anything to hold my phone, so you're probably just gonna see my ceiling.
All righty then. It happens.
Dan,
Hey, Grandpa Jim, how's it going?
I'm good there, Squeaky. I
It's
like
good
your
to see-
beard.
Hey, thanks. It's becoming epically
Long.
scrappy.
Yeah. Hey, look what I got this week.
No, you didn't. You went out and got some real stuff?
Yeah, look at this.
Dude, look at this, a real life canvas.
Yeah. Isn't
Hanging
that
with the-
neat?
Hanging with the big boys now. Good.
Okay, we're here. Let's start.
You got real paints too?
Oh, they're all lilies.
Oh, you're stealing Lily's paints?
No, I'm borrowing.
All
I guess they have the painting afterwards.
right, yeah, you'll give it back. There you go.
Yeah.
I get it. It's dry. It's dry paint. You get the paint back. I like that concept.
It is good.
Oh,
So we're
wow.
having lilies for Lily tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually like one water lily flower though.
Well, I only have one lily.
That's kind of perfect, then, isn't it?
It's perfect. So how
In
you
case anybody
doing?
didn't catch on, his granddaughter's name is Lily.
Aww.
So, a water lily for Lily.
That's
Can we get
so
2 or
sweet.
3 more people? I'm really the one person I mistakenly sent them the wrong link, and they logged in about 10 minutes ago to the wrong link. So I really quick, I texted them that I sent them the right link via email. I sent it via email, and they're still not on. They were like one of the first people to sign up and one of the first people to sign in today.
Uh-oh.
So are they a missing link?
Should I try to call them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell them we say hi.
Let's see how it goes. Like, I still hold my phone to my ear like an old person.
No, an old person doesn't hold it to their ear. They have it on speaker.
Hello, Anu. This is Dan, Mr. Paint Party. I just called to let you know that I accidentally sent you the wrong link initially to this paint party tonight. Wanted to make sure that you got the correct link. I sent it to you via email. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to text me back, call me back, 847-345-3452. Hope to see you soon. So I left her a voicemail. So let's get started, guys.
Okay.
So I was saying earlier, there is no sketch, so we're going straight to painting this one. We're gonna go nice and slow instead. We'll actually probably end up finishing early today because this is a rather simple painting, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I think I need simple.
Slow and steady wins the race. So we're gonna start off with some white and some purple. If you don't have purple, obviously you can make some purple using some red and blue, or if you got some magenta and blue, that's too. I wouldn't mind having a couple different purples actually to choose from. So maybe use your purple from the two. Maybe show me what your purple you got. I can recommend maybe mixing a different purple, or just naturally kind of mix a couple different purples by using your purple and your red and your blue that you have on hand. Don't mix too big of a pile.
Is it a purple, like a light or dark?
We're gonna use kind of both. So
Okay.
I'm gonna start mixing, and you can kind of follow along with what I'm mixing here in a second.
Okay.
If my white comes out of my tube. All right, there it goes. But leave a lot of real estate on your plate or palette, whatever you're using, for some blending room, because we're gonna use some fancy techniques with our brush when we start blending some paint together.
I can use real plates, I
Use
guess,
real
right?
plate, yeah.
Oh, you're fine, Dancer.
Oh no, don't use real plates. Have Heather hold up the purple paints again. Heather, hold up those purple.
I have like a violet, it's like a dark and a light violet.
Ooh, we're gonna use those both. Use them both.
Okay.
I like it.
Use a little dollop. We'll use a little dollop of each. Put them on the side of your corner of your plate there.
And your plate.
Yeah, and in fact, you might need multiple plates because you're gonna need room to spread out and blend things together. I like to use lots of real estate when I paint, so I might expand onto a second plate right off the bat. Put my purple on the one plate and white on the other plate.
It's fine.
Okay.
I got it.
Use so many napkins you can't get them out.
It's gonna be fine.
You got the good napkins?
Oh yeah.
All right. As long as if you got the good napkins,
Mhm.
you're set. But if you got the dollar store napkins, boy oh boy, those are not meant for painting with.
Lavender
Yeah, these are
Like a
good.
dark
These are
lavender
good.
purple.
Yeah, this one is cashed out.
So to be quite frank, don't have any purple. How do I not have any purple? What is going on here?
I don't have any purple either, but I have 3 different kinds of blue.
I like mixing. Do you like mixing?
No, but I want to.
I'm gonna make some purple. So I got red, magenta, and blue. So I'm gonna make a purple out of my magenta and blue right off the bat. Like use half and half and see what happens. Ooh, that's a pretty purple. And then maybe I'm gonna make another purple over here with my red. Oh, that's gonna be a really darker purple too. Ooh, that almost looks brown. Ooh, that's not a good purple. That is a brownish purple. Not as big of a fan of that one.
Yeah.
I like the magenta blue combination there a little better. But we can get a true sense of what it looks like by adding a little smidgen of white to it. Oh, so it is actually purple. It's not poop color. It's actually like in fact, that might actually work. So I got 2 purples here to start off with. If your purples look a little different than mine, that's okay, because that's what makes paintings all different. But we want a nice healthy pile of each of those 2 different purples. So if you try to like wipe the excess off your brush, try to make a nice big healthy pile with each of those.
What brush are you using?
Right now I'm using a 1-inch brush, but I'm not gonna paint right away with all this purple on there. I'm gonna rinse it off before I start putting my paint on the canvas. So right now all we're doing is just some mixing, just some purple mixing. Maybe I might make one more purple for good luck over here.
Oh.
Just for good luck, just so I know I have plenty of purple.
1.25 centimeters. Yeah, that's fine.
Plenty of purple to go around. All right. So again, wring that brush off on the side of your plate so you get as much of that paint. See how I got a little pile of paint brewing over there now? So I'm gonna get as much of that paint as possible before I go to rinse off my brush. Because I want all that valuable purple I can get. So I just cleaned off my brush. So now I got a nice, perfectly clean 1-inch brush. So if you got a nice wide flat, it doesn't have to be 1 inch, maybe 3/4 inch, but nice big flat brush. Your biggest flat brush you can find. Does everybody have a nice big flat brush? Hopefully you do. If not, you really can't use this technique. You can kind of play around and do your own technique. But I'm going to show you a technique where I'm going to load one side of the brush up with one color and the other side of the brush with the other color. So the wider the brush that you have, the better for this step. But we can always go back and touch it up. So to start off, what I'm going to do is on one side of my brush, literally, and I'm going to make it a point to try not to touch the other side of the clean brush, and load it up with this purple paint.
Okay, one side of the brush.
Just one side of the brush. So only one side of my brush has paint on it. You can see just like that. And now I'm going to go over to my pile of white, and I'm going to dip the blank side of the brush. Now I've got white on one side, purple on the other. And before I start painting with that, I'm going to blend them together really well. So I'm going to go back and forth like this on a blank spot of my plate until I get a nice blend, a nice gradient between those 2 colors. And you can see the more that I go back and forth, the more I end up using up that paint. So I might have to go back, dip again on the white, dip again in my purple that I got going.
What is that?
And then bring it back to my pile over here. Now we don't want it really super dark. We do want kind of a nice lavender purple. So if that purple kind of starts disappearing into the white, that's kind of a good thing. If it's not disappearing enough into the white, then you gotta go left and right a little bit so your pile kind of merges a little bit better. Your purple merges a little better with your white. But as you can see, the more I do it, the more it gets blended. And when I'm happy with that, that's when I'm gonna make my first stroke. And we're gonna be very careful, kind of like meditative monks. We're gonna really focus on each and every brush stroke. We're gonna get a brush perfectly loaded before we make that first stroke. And then when we do, we're really gonna focus on where this water lily is gonna be. We're kind of gonna visualize it before we paint it, because there's no sketch there. So we gotta kind of visualize where our water lily is gonna be on the canvas. That big white one's gonna be about right there on my canvas. And I'm gonna paint the first petal. I want about 9 or 10 petals going all the way around, and then I'm gonna make a whole nother layer of petals. So this is just the first layer of petals. Then I'm gonna do a downward stroke, and I'm gonna push kind of hard when I first start painting. And as I'm lifting, I'm kind of tilting my brush, and or as I'm dragging my brush, I'm kind of tilting my brush and lifting with less pressure as I'm going across. Now you can't really see the white paint really well because our canvas is white, but it's there. Trust me, it's there. So it's okay if that white runs out a little bit, because we're going to come back around with this blue and the green to accentuate the water lily afterwards.
Making water lily pushing.
So if you want to practice that stroke a couple times on a scratch piece of paper, or if you got a spare canvas or a spare plate, you can always practice that stroke first before you lay it down. But really, I only got really one stroke out of that. My brush really has very little paint left on it, so I got to do that whole process over again. However, now I've got a nice pile started.
We can ask Mr. Dan.
Yeah, what's up?
So Macy was like, but what if I do it wrong?
Oh, there is no wrong way to do it. You can always wait till it dries and then go back and touch it up. So if you feel like you made a mistake, I would say just wait until it dries.
Fix it.
And just go on to the next flower petal. And then go back and fix that one later.
Thank you.
So I did that again. I did that whole process over again. Now you got to kind of concentrate. I'm used to doing it, but you got to kind of concentrate to keep your brush the same way, because as soon as you flip your brush the other way, you ruin your pile and make it all one color. So in order to keep that gradient going the same direction, you got to keep the purple on the bottom and the white on top, or vice versa. So every once in a while, I'll dip back into the white or back into the purple to make that color again. And then I'll come back over here and make my next.
Splash paint all over your face.
What? You could do it that way too. I feel like I came out a little too purple. I'm gonna put a little more white in my next brush stroke. I don't want it to be that lavender on the edge.
I see what the gradient is going on.
But now you can see what that gradient is doing. If you put that purple in the middle of your stroke, both times you do it, keep the white on the outer edge, you'll end up with that nice kind of petal shape. I'm gonna do it again a couple more times, and hopefully you can follow along and try to do it yourself. So I'll put a little extra white in this time. Then I feel like that last one was white enough. I'm gonna do another petal going out.
You add more white?
That was kind of hard because I'm on the edge of my canvas. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, add a little extra white that time. I feel like the purple is getting a little too deep on my canvas. I'm gonna zoom into my canvas too, so you can see a little better what I'm doing.
So like this?
Okay, pot man.
Zoom in.
Looks good, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, try it. If you want to add a little more to it, make it like Mr. Dan.
There we go. That one was kind of hard for me to twist because I'm standing on the edge of my canvas. There's my next layer of flowers. Again, I'm doing too much purple. I'm going to concentrate on adding lots more white this next one. I really want these ones on top to be a lot more white, a lot more highlighted than the rest.
It's over. We'll go for Italian. Just like
There we are.
just get fucking drunk.
So this is a good practice here. And now I'm going to start doing a few of these middle ones.
I heard you.
I know I was talking
So
about
using that same technique where I'm laying down that brush firmly at first, kind of twisting it to the side so it ends up being a pointed tip
Boys,
guys.
at the tip of it.
Oh,
Sorry.
It's all good. No worries, no worries. And I'm going to do a few of these going upwards now. So I'm doing the same technique, only I'm going upwards. Again, if you feel like you need to practice a little bit, feel free to practice on a spare sheet of paper or or your arm or your face. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do it on your arm or face. But I'm making some good progress with my water lilies here. I'm gonna add a little extra white every time I do it because I want them to be lighter and lighter. Right now they kind of just look like a starburst, especially because I didn't do that water on the outside. You really can't see how white they are. They'll look a lot more white on the tips when we go around with our water and our green around the edges. Make sure you leave a nice big gap in the middle of all of these guys for the center of our water lily. I'm constantly going back to my palette, adding a little bit more, purple on the one side, a little more white on the other side, and dragging it up, twisting my brush, releasing the pressure, and that's how I'm creating that look, that kind of shaded look to the brush stroke. If it doesn't work out that good for you, I would say the same thing that I said a second ago, is just wait for it to dry. Just wait for it to dry a couple seconds, and you can go back and touch it up with a smaller brush with either white or purple. You can try to mix that same color again. Now I'm gonna try to do another layer here before I put this kind of center thing in there. So I'm gonna try to do a whole nother layer on top, although I want them to dry for a second. So I'm gonna take my time. Maybe I'm gonna put another one in between these two here. Now for these ones in between, kind of concentrating on where the edge of this one's gonna be before I lay in the next petal, give it a little bit of room. It's also a little bit more purple, but that's okay because there'd be a little more shadow on the ones that are hiding underneath. I'm gonna do a few more of those in between. So this one's kind of hiding out in there, hiding out in between.
Oh.
Mine looks exactly like yours doesn't.
Oh, interesting. I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Quiet.
So a couple of these littler ones in between. And then I'm gonna start doing these smaller ones. So this one's pretty much dry already, believe it or not. Thank you, Winter. Winter definitely helps when it comes to drying time. So this one's nice and dry for me already. So I'm gonna do another one on top. I'm gonna make sure my white is nice and thick because I want this to be like an even whiter layer. So when I'm blending my paint together, let me flip my camera. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's try again. It really looks like a crazy octopus at the moment, which is not what I'm going for. But remember, a painting doesn't look good until it's all the way done. So if yours looks the opposite of mine right now, Grandpa Jim, yours is probably looking really good because mine looks like this weird
Thank you for the compliment.
20
You're so
leagues
nice.
under the sea thing going on over here. So I'm adding much more white this time. I'm not actually dipping back into my purple now. Now I've just got so much purple here that I don't need to. I can just use this existing pile and just keep adding white to it because white is a lot less powerful of a color than the purple is. So I'm gonna put another layer here on top. And that one kind of overlaid on top of one of the previous layers. I'm gonna do another one between these two here, and maybe another couple up on this side. But using that same technique, a little extra white, so the purple is a little more pale in each brush stroke, a little paler in each brush stroke. But depending on the opacity of your white, it might not cover as good on top. I know mine's a little, I don't know, can you tell on camera? Not really too much, but mine is a little bit see-through right here. It's not perfectly opaque. It's a little translucent right there. So you may see the layer underneath, you may not. I'm gonna put a couple more here. So I'm starting with my brush very wide, and then I'm twisting and coming to a point. And I'm doing the same thing on the other side. I think with these shorter ones, I can make, I can get 2 brush strokes per loading of my brush. Was that a question? You can ask a question. What's up?
You zoom in.
Just with the white or.
Yes, I can. Absolutely. No problem. No problem. No problem. We're going to go to, why does it show I have 3 cameras? That doesn't make any sense. I only have 2.
Ah.
Oh, I see.
Oh, so you're putting the white over it.
Oh, now see, now I know that I needed to zoom in when everybody goes, oh.
Ah.
Oh, now I see what you're doing.
That's fine.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, just remind me when I got to pop over to the other camera. I forget. I forget sometimes. So I'm adding a few more layers here on
You gotta put like
top. Is what I was doing? That's what I was doing, yeah. So just a couple more, kind of fill it in. Just to leave, I mean, a centerpiece. We want to leave maybe a 2-inch circle about in the middle for a little, the center of the water lily. We have the example? Oh, yeah, it's right here.
Oh yeah, there we go.
whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's right there.
What it's gonna look like.
Sorry.
All right, so let's get a couple more in there and leave a little 2-inch center.
I don't know if mine is.
Well, I'm gonna throw one in right there,
Like,
little guy,
ah.
just to leave a little bit of room in the center. What do you call those things in the center?
I'm good.
The centerpiece of the flower, the
Stamen?
pollen things, the stamen. Is that it?
Those are like the sticky up things.
That's the yellow things that are worming out.
Yeah.
Those are the yellow things that are worming out. Those are the stamen.
That's a reproductive portion of a flower.
Yeah. So let us. I mean, I think that's what. I mean, it could be little yellow worms. But I am just gonna do. I don't know. Maybe one more. Maybe I don't need one more. I kind of feel like it needs one right there, but maybe I don't need it.
These are my petals.
They're
Definitely
beautiful.
not an even number.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be thick.
I like it when it's thick though. Like
So
when
I'm gonna start doing my little middle section then. So pretty much the same process, only now we don't have to be as careful about where the white and purple sides end up because it's so much smaller and there's so much smaller petals. So I'm gonna do these couple on the back side first. I'm gonna do one over here. And then I'm gonna do the couple on the front side.
I'm just gonna chill until it's done.
I'm gonna use some extra white there. Yeah, I want these ones in the middle to be really extra white, so I'm gonna use
Wow, yours is
a lot of extra white on that one.
fair. Yours look better.
No, Macy, they're all different.
Yeah, we
Kinda
make
small.
different.
I'm sure they're all beautiful art.
Yes.
So as you can see from my example, if you printed out your example beforehand, or if you had extreme printer problems and you couldn't print anything today, you can look at this example right here and see that I did go back over in my original example with some purple at the very end to kind of touch up and highlight, give a little emphasis to some of these little areas here. And I may have even gone back over and done a little bit of white in spots where I had to touch up. So don't worry about it being perfect right off the bat. If it looks a little messy, I still think mine looks a little too much like an octopus. So hopefully we can kind of touch that up after this dries and after we work on the background a little bit.
I'm gonna use a dry brush to help.
But essentially, this is what we're trying to get across right now. Maybe we could put if yours didn't end up darker underneath these first couple layers, you could put a little bit of a purple shadow there to emphasize. I'm just going to do it on mine. I don't think mine really needs it, but I'm just going to do it to show you what I'm talking about. I had another smaller brush and I set it down. There it is.
I'm trying to fix my mistake by using a little brush.
Remember, there are no mistakes. There's just happy little accidents.
That's right, Macy.
I'm using a dry brush.
A dry brush?
To
That's the way to
help.
do it. So I've got my purple from this side of my, whoops, I'm on this camera, okay. Here, I've got my purple from this side of my gradient. So I'm just got my little brush out and I'm just gonna put a little emphasis underneath these couple petals that are in the foreground here.
Wait, are we doing the middle?
The little yellow part?
Yeah.
In a second when it dries, because you know what? When yellow and purple mix together, they kind of make a icky brown. So we're gonna wait till that dries all the way, and then we're gonna do our little.
See, like, are we putting the purple in the middle yet?
Oh yeah, put a little purple in the middle, hun.
Okay.
Oh, like in the middle of your petals? Like yeah, if you want to, you can totally do that now. If you feel like they're dry enough, mine dried so fast that I could probably do it right now if you want to see. But yeah, if you want to add a little bit of extra purple here in the middle, you totally could. I don't want to overdo the purple though, because I still want it to kind of be a white flower in the end. So
Right.
I want to preserve some of that white. And if you feel like there's too much purple, we can always come back with some extra white too and pop some of those highlights in the end. So I'm happy with where I'm at in that step. I'm going to let you guys take a couple more minutes to finish up your base of your flower. Remember, this is just the first layer, so it shouldn't look perfect yet. Don't kick yourself if it doesn't look good yet. Mine, in my opinion, it doesn't look good. And my example painting didn't look good at this point either. So,
Love it.
so yeah, finish those couple steps. I'm gonna let it dry for just a second. I'd love to see what if you got a stopping point too, I'd love to see what you're doing.
I wish I
It's
did.
fun too. I know.
I
Mine.
wish I did.
That's okay. There's lots of. Mine's Catchopolis because I just couldn't.
If you want any tips or tricks or questions.
Oh.
Oh, Julie made it. Sweet.
She's really brown.
She signed in at 7 on the nose. Oh, you know what that means.
What?
Witching.
And she probably thought it started at 7 and at 6:30. That's okay. It's all good. We'll get you caught up in no time. It was an easy first couple steps. Yeah, don't feel bad. It's all good. No worries. I tricked you. That was my fault. I think I'm gonna move them back to 7 from now on. I'm sorry. Because some people on the West Coast want to participate and they don't get off of work till 5, which kind of equates to our 7. So I'm gonna switch
Who's
it back to
working in
7.
this time and age?
Say again?
Who's working at this time of age?
Yeah, right. No, there was actually it was somebody that worked at a hospital. So yeah, they're still working.
Well, they should get all the people there helping.
But because this first step was so quick, and because you guys are all still working and touching yours up, I'm gonna go through it real quick for you, Julie. I'm gonna find a spare canvas real quick so you can start off where we started off. I'm gonna go through the instructions kind of quick, but you're gonna get all of them. So I'm gonna grab another canvas real quick. I'll be right.
Good. Make my
You're so sick.
First one going.
I don't know. Mine
What's
looks
an
like,
anemone?
it's a sea
Creature.
This looks like an anemone.
Enemy. If it looks like an enemy, you're doing it right.
enemy.
Mine
Okay,
totally.
we're doing it right.
It's your enemy.
Mine totally looks like my enemy. My anemone.
I'm an anemone.
No, it's your enemy.
Got it.
Anemone, baby.
No, it's an enemy. It's your enemy.
Oh man, I'm gonna check. And while we're paused here for a second, I'm gonna check my email if you don't mind to see if that person emailed me back that couldn't. I feel terrible that they had the wrong link. Oh, I'm such a butt.
You're not.
You're
No,
not.
I'm not. I'm a human. I'm a walking, talking human. Pardon me
not
for
just
1
human,
second.
but
Okay.
Great.
Other people on the Zoom but us.
So. Let's see, sorry guys, just give me 1 second. When I'm in painting mode, it's hard to go back to check this stuff. All right, Julie, are you there? You are. You got your canvas? You got everything all ready?
I'm all set.
All right, we need white and purple to get off the bat. I already spread out into 2 plates, believe it or not, but you don't have to. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that I want a nice spot, a nice big empty spot of real estate to combine 2 colors together. That's how I did most of the petals on my water lily, is that I had my purples to start off with. I had to mix a bunch of purples, so I didn't have purple. I had to use magenta and blue. So I mixed my purples first,
Here now.
and then I loaded the one side of my brush up with the one color and the other side up with the other color. So I literally just dipped the one edge of the brush on the one side and then dipped the other side in the other color, which I'm running out of a little bit. And then I just worked it back and forth until the brush was fully loaded. So just like that, back and forth, until you get a nice gradient going. I'm noticing adding more white than purple works out to your benefit, because then you end up with nice,
So nice.
nice white, light colored leaves, nice lighter toned water lily leaves.
So you have to keep. See, mine doesn't look like anything.
No, yours look better.
No.
And I kind of, since we're not sketching, you kind of got to envision it first, right off the bat here. This is going to be a nice little repeater for those of you who
Dark
followed along the first time.
Sure.
So I'm going to do a bunch of leaves going around. I'm going to start with my brush nice and flat and wide, and then I'm going to twist my brush to a point as I'm making that stroke. So you can see as I'm doing it, that the stroke comes to a point. Now you can't see the white very well, and I'm going to zoom in real close so you can see it. I'm going to do this one a lot faster, guys. You're going to see how fast I can actually paint.
Here.
Yes.
I hate to ask. I'm like,
Sure you do.
So zoom in. Ooh, I knocked my canvas or my camera.
Ellen, what do you?
Bing. There we go. So, and then on the other side of the flower petal, I am going to do the opposite. So I'm gonna have the purple on the right-hand side of the brush and the white on the left-hand side of the brush. And I'm gonna keep it wide and then come to a point. And that is how I do a nice big wide water lily petal. So I'm gonna do those going all the way around. By the time I get to the other side, after I do a whole circle going all the way around, the first one's gonna be dry. So I'm gonna do another layer of them. So I'm gonna crank mine out real quick. And mine's getting dry a little bit. So I'm just gonna tap the surface of my water just to increase the fluidity of my paints here. I'm gonna do it a few more times here. I get 2 strokes out of a brush load. Let's see. It looks pretty good. It's a little see-through. I'm gonna go all the way around like that. All the way around. These ones on top are gonna be like shorter petals here. Just cruising along. Let's see. So the other person never texted me back, Ben? No. Shoot. Well, that stinks. That is totally my fault. So, piece of cake, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we go around and we do it again.
I'm not a baker.
You get some practice doing this little one-stroke technique. This is one of the techniques that I used back in the day when I used to teach at Michael's Arts and Crafts. I used to do, it's technically called rose mauling. They rebranded it into one-stroke painting though at Michael's Arts and Crafts Center. So that's where this technique kind of is generated from. Is doing all those flower paintings from back in the day. It was one of my first jobs out of college. Well, they're still in college. No, I don't remember. Was I still in college?
No, it was right.
It was right after college. Yeah, it's a good thing my wife's got a good memory. Now I'm gonna do another layer of these real quick, going around in a circle. When I say real quick, I mean real quick. These are gonna come out of me real fast. Let's throw a couple more here. Boom, boom. And again, I'm working my paint back and forth, and I'm pretty much just adding more white to it. I'm really not adding any more purple. The leaves, the petals are naturally getting lighter and lighter as I'm finishing up here. Because I'm running out of purple on my palette. Oh, I like how that one came out. That's rare. And the last one, I'm gonna do one more right there. So I'm gonna leave a nice little 2-inch spot there in the middle, and then I'm gonna do my last couple flower petals. You can do it either with a smaller brush if you're uncomfortable with that big one. But I'm gonna put my last couple in here. These ones are gonna be whiter than the rest, so I'm adding lots of white to my brush. Whoa, oh, I messed up a little bit. Oh, geez, oh, no, I'm purposely messing up. There we go. And that's how we do that. So that's where you jumped in, Julie. Literally, that's where I left off. I was in the process of just adding a few more shadows to this water lily at this point. So I went back to my original purple color, or the purple. If you have any purple left in your gradient mix, you could use this darkest color over here with a smaller brush, and just accentuate any of these petals that needed just a little shadow underneath them to show that they're a layer on top of the previous layer. Just a little bit. In my example, let me see. In my previous painting example, I had quite a bit more shadows. I can always go back and add some more later. Plus, you'll notice that these have a little bit of blue in them too. So I did come back later after I did a little bit of blue mixed with my purple and touched it up a little bit. So you can kind of see the difference between the two where we're at right now. Oh, or no, you can't. Not if I don't hold it low enough. So Progress is being made. We are going to jump over to the background next. We're going to mix some beautiful blues and greens. Hopefully you've got more than one blue at your disposal. If not, I would mix the different blue. I would add like maybe a little green to your blue or a little cyan to your blue if you have cyan. But I'm going to mix the same way I started with the previous step. Is I'm going to mix a few different colors, kind of like how I had a few different purples to start off with. So I'm going to go with a few different blues, and I'm going to leave the spots left over where the lily pads are going to be, where the green lily pads are going to be. I shouldn't be losing my voice. I'm losing my voice here. If I can scream over a classroom of 3-year-olds, I should be able to do this for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So let's get some blues going on. I used up a lot of space. Now, hopefully you've got some spare plates or some spare space for more room to mix colors. Because I literally used up that whole plate with this purple and white mix.
Are we gonna use that again?
I'm going to use our purple and white mix again. It depends on where you're at. If you feel like you're going to touch up some of those purples, I would keep some of those purples for later. Maybe if you have a spritzer bottle, get a little spritz to preserve some of those colors. If not, you can mix them all again, right?
Yeah.
So no worries. Yeah, so if you want to touch that up, you can always come back when we're all the way done. We still have to come back and do the little yellow stamen in the middle of the flower anyway, after the purple dries. So blank plate, I'm going to use some of my... To preserve and not waste any paint, I'm going to use this pile of blue that I have left over. Well, that came off really nicely. This pile of blue left over. And then I also have another blue. This one's, I can never say it without a lisp. Phthalo blue. What did I say? What did I say, Emily? Fun to spell. not fun to say. Phthalo. I still don't even know how the right way to say it, but it's PHTH. Which you can't say without a lisp. How do you say PHTH without a lisp? Phthalo.
Hello.
Phthalo.
Hello to you.
Phthalo. So I got 2 different blues. You'll notice that one of my blues is quite a bit more purple. Actually, it doesn't show up very good on camera. Whoa, I got this new light, this new fancy light that I can change the hue. Ooh, yeah, that's still not accurate. I tried, it's close. So anyway, this one's a little bit more purple. This is an ultramarine blue, and this one's a little more blue-green. This is a phthalo blue.
I got that.
Depending on if you have one or the other, if you have phthalo blue, add a little bit of purple to it to make a little purple blue to go along with it. If you have just an ultramarine blue, add a little cyan or a little turquoise or a little green, just a smidgen of it to your blue to blue-green it up a little bit. So we're gonna have a couple blues to start off with. In fact, I'm gonna have not only these 2 blues, but I'm gonna mix a little bit of white in a pile next to them. So I'm gonna have like a lighter blue, and then my true blue, and then a lighter version of this one too. So now I got multiple blues to use here.
This is the Blues Brothers?
I like to have lots of different blues. So now you need to mind where your negative spaces are gonna be, where you're gonna have your lily pads. So you need to envision where those lily pads are gonna be. I'm gonna have one big one right here. I'm gonna have one big one over kind of coming off the side of the page. Remember, some of them have to come off the side of the page. Otherwise, it's not gonna be like a very good composition. One of them's gonna be like over here-ish, and I'll have another one over here. You can see that that you don't have to be super picky about them, because you can put them where you want to. Nobody's gonna look at that painting and when you're done and be like, I was at that lily pond and the water lilies didn't look like that. There was 2 on the left and 3 on the right. What are you doing? So yeah, nobody's gonna say that to you because they've never been to this exact scene before. In fact, I don't even know if this is a real species of water lily. It's my mind's eye version of a water lily. So let's do our best to fill in those spaces and kind of preserve those empty spaces where our lily pads are going to be. So I'm just gonna go for it. So if you're feeling a little unsure of yourself, you can always water down your paint just a little bit, add a little viscosity to your paint. That way, with your paper towel in your opposite hand, you could wipe it off real easily if you make a mistake. So if you're not feeling confident with yourself today, put a wet paper towel in your opposite hand and have that on the ready. But I'm just going to kind of envision, I'm going to be really confident with my strokes because I'm going to think about it a little bit longer before I box. Oh, is it a wine break? Wine break.
Oh, nah.
I'm going to meditate over my stroke before I put it down. I'm really going to think
Sorry,
about where
we ran out of paper plates, so my husband fashioned a box of wine as my new palette. Isn't that recycling?
I love it. I love it. Perfect. Now you got lots of real estate to mix colors. I might even use the finished side. Anu, we got Anu. I'm so sorry, Anu. I'm glad you got in. Should I paint it a third time?
I like it.
Anu, do I have you?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm so sorry. You got the right link finally. I'm glad you
Yeah, I
found your
saw
way
the
in.
email. Yeah, right.
You got everything ready? You got your palette and your canvas and everything?
Yeah, are you going to record it?
It is being recorded actually. So I'm gonna actually put it on YouTube over the weekend, and I'll send everybody who's participating the link.
Okay.
so
Yeah, because I joined late, so I have missed your part.
We literally all we did so far is just this so far.
Okay.
And all it is was just loading up the one side of our brush with one color and purple on the other color, but you could totally watch the replay and paint it at your leisure and watch me paint today if you want to. That's totally my mistake.
Yeah, I will watch you so that I can paint, then I can see the link and paint.
Awesome.
Okay.
So this is where we're at right now. We're gonna fill in the background with blue. I feel so terrible, Anu, but we'll get I'll get you the replay and you'll be able to watch the whole thing.
Okay.
No problem. So my most sincerest apologies. We're gonna fill in the background with blue. We're gonna dodge where our water lilies. I was just saying we're meditating over a stroke, make sure we put it in the right place. So now I have plenty of time to think about where that first stroke is gonna be. And I know I want it right about there. I'm also going to preserve the edge of where my water lilies are. I don't want to paint too much on top of where the lilies ended up. So I'm going to put my first stroke in there. Make sure I'm not going to paint on top of any lily pads.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to fill this area in.
It's getting wild now. See, look, Mommy just did
And
whatever.
kind of dodge where our lily pads are going to go.
Do whatever you want.
I got one lily pad there.
It's not, there's no
I'm going to have one lily pad kind of coming across this way. One lily pad that is going like underneath that whole thing, so it comes out over here. I'm going to dodge the edge of my flower petal right there. I'm going to go around this way. And you can see I'm kind of just sketching it in. I'm kind of just drafting it. I'm not really laying on very thick paint. I kind of just want to put it. So I guess in a way we are sketching because we're sketching with paint. Kind of lay out where my edge of my flower is and where the edge of my lily pads are going to be. And you can see as soon as I accentuate the edges of these flowers, that they really pop out a lot more.
You can use. I use both. I mix them kind of both, so like side by side to do it that way.
So I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little closer what I'm doing here. There you go. And you can see I'm just kind of filling in where that blue is going to be. So I'm going to have another lily pad underneath here. This is going to be blue over here in this corner. Again, dodge my petal. So this is going to be all blue here. Another lily pad is going to be here. And lily pads have these like little like nicks in them. So this one's actually going to have one of those little nicks in the water lily like that. And then I have one coming off the bottom corner over here. That one's probably not wide enough. And I want one on the side over here. All right, so that's pretty much sketched in. Now's the fun part. Now I get to fill in all this blue pretty much as fast and as thick as I can. You'll notice that in my example, I have some real thick blue paint on there. I really want to try, and when I lay it down, I really want to try to lay it down with one stroke. So I want to make sure my brush is fully loaded with that blue paint. And I want to, once I lay it down, I kind of want to preserve it. I don't want to go back and touch it up. So really have multiple different blues to use. If you feel like your blue needs to be any darker, you can always go back to that purple that you've had earlier and touch your blue with it and get a little deeper with that hue. You can see that in some spots I actually got I naturally got darker and lighter with my blue paint as I worked across. Now I'm gonna have to get this held down here. It's moving all over the place. This is the fun part because there's really not a lot of instruction to this. It's more just filling it in with lots of different blues. Naturally, it'll happen to have some variation in your blues because you made a couple different blues to start off with. So fill this whole area in with all those different blues that you made. If you water down your blue a little bit to stretch it a little bit, that'll create another tint of your blue and make it a little lighter still. So feel free to add a little bit of water to increase the viscosity of your paint if you feel like it's a little too dry. It is so dry in here today. I've been complaining about that throughout the last couple paint parties, but today is definitely the most extreme, the driest. I have never seen paint dry so fast in my life. So to help prevent that, I have a little spritzer bottle by my side that I'll spritz my palette with every once in a while. A little spritzer bottle full of water. But all my paints are drying fast, so I'm gonna try to paint them on there fast. I'm just gonna fill in this background and have some natural different colors with my blues. I started off really dark here on the left-hand side. I'm gonna slowly add a little bit of white to my blues to make it a little lighter up here because it's kind of the same thing I did with my water lily. I was kind of thinking that the light is coming from the top side of the canvas and pointing down this way. So it's just a little naturally lighter in the water, in this blue water up here than it is down towards the bottom. That's why I'm starting at the bottom with my darkest, deepest blue hues. Working around the lily pads, because the lily pads are going to have some shadow too, some darker, deeper blue. And again, let it lay, letting the colors lay where they go. I'm going to put a little cyan on my palette too. Now, you guys got cyan? Some blue-green, some turquoise. I'm going to put a little cyan on my palette too. Kind of lighten up some of these blues. I like having multiple different blue hues. So I put a little cyan in my paint there. And naturally, if you don't mix your paint too much, you can see that even just with one stroke, just like how we did with the petals, multiple different colors come off of each stroke. You can't see it too good on the camera, but it really is more turquoise and cyan towards this side of the stroke and more darker and ultramarine towards the other side of the stroke. Just because I'm not mixing my blues so much on my palette, I'm kind of just letting them all combine. When I go to reload my brush, I just kind of touch everything almost willy-nilly and then go to paint with that and see how it comes out. See what comes off your brush. If it feels a little too dark, touch your white or touch your cyan. If it feels a little too light, go more pure with that hue. Go the blue straight from the tube. Man, are these paints dry today. Holy moly. So I am just concentrating on filling these white spots, trying not to touch the areas that I already painted too much. Because I want that area to look the most confident when I'm done. I want this background to really look really nice and confident. So up top, I added a little bit of white to my paint. So they ended up, man, I can't even get a whole brush stroke before my brush dries out. Holy moly. But I added a little bit of white to my paint up there to make it a little bit lighter blue. Not too much though. I don't want sky blue or baby blue. Just a nice light blue hue. Try not to touch it too many times, but I do need to go over where the brush didn't cover because it's so dry. Did I mention it's dry in here? So dodging the edges with my water lilies. I got a couple little spots I still got to cover up over here, but I'm trying to work fast, just because it's so dry in here.
How dry is it?
Oh, I don't know. Let's make some analogies. Drier than an elephant's back in the Sahara. Drier than my sense of humor.
Ah.
Jeez. All right, so I'm filling this in with some lighter blue over here, some lighter blue over there. Got some beautiful turquoise. I love this color. This is like my favorite color right here. This nice, deep hue of turquoise. It's blue-green. It's not as blue-green on camera. It looks very, very blue, but it's more blue-green in real life. Nice light turquoise. Let's see if this camera shows the colors any different. I'm just gonna swap back to see. I'm always curious how messed up my colors look on camera. I'll see now this blue is a little more realistic, actually. The blue on this camera is a little more real. So that's actually what it looks like, but it's not as detailed as the close-up camera. So that's the real color. And then this is the real detail. One of these days, I'm gonna get 2 real good cameras. It's gonna be like 24K resolution. It's gonna be like 10 years in the future when I actually have 24K resolution. I'm gonna finally have 2 cameras that show real, accurate, true colors. But until then, we have to tolerate this. This camera, the one camera, the far away camera, is one of the best cameras on the market, and it's still not very accurate as far as color, I think. So I'm just filling in my little white spot, a couple white spots left over. So I'm taking whatever blue I have left over and filling in these white gaps. Little white gaps here between my petals. There. Anybody else see more gaps? Oh, I totally missed the lower right-hand corner over here. Hello. I gotta get my lower right-hand corner here, but then I'm almost completed. After that, I'm gonna take a short break. Give you guys a chance to catch up where I am, because I know this does take some time if you're not as fast of a painter as I am. So I'm going to give you a chance to catch up. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break when I'm finished with this water. But I think we're going to end a little bit early today, just because it's a little simpler of a composition. Our last few classes have gone long, like way long. We've gone like half an hour long. But this one's going to be a little bit shorter, I think. There's not as much as instruction, not as many techniques to teach you. Although that first one was a doozy, wasn't it?
Yep.
But we'll get a chance to go back and touch up the flower if you had any mistakes. But a few more practice times with that same technique, doing a few more flowers, or just practicing on a spare canvas and just keep practicing those flowers. It's really an invaluable technique, because you can use it on a lot of different surfaces and a lot of different purposes, not just flower petals. Although it works really good on flower petals. So before I break, I am going to just look at my painting for a second and see if there's any parts where I feel like it needs to be a little shadow. So all these white lily pads are sitting here, and they could use like a little cast shadow underneath them. They could use like a slightly smidgen darker of blue underneath them. I ran out of this one kind of blue, so I'm gonna give myself some more of this. But you can see in the example that there is a little bit of shadow underneath them. I'm not gonna get super technical and try to get it exactly right, but I'm just gonna put like the semblance of a little bit of a darker blue underneath where my lily pads are. Over here. Now over here I got a really dark blue to start with. So this might be where I have to add a little bit of purple to make it a little bit darker. I just touch my purple a little bit. I'm going to use that for my darkest dark in my background. So that's just blue mixed with a little bit of my purple from earlier. That's really like my darkest dark in the whole entire canvas. And let those brush strokes fall where they may. If you have a couple going awry, that's fine too. Some expressive brush strokes coming off of it. Maybe fill in some more spots. If you notice there's still some white left over, go ahead and fill those in. I'm gonna end up with lots more dark over here, but that doesn't matter. I meant to do that. So there we go. Maybe a little more dark in this lower right-hand corner here. Letting some of the previous colors show through. I want to have like a little bit of expressive strokes popping through from that previous layer. And right here, I got some white showing through. So the natural variation in your brush strokes kind of simulates the natural variation in the surface of the water. So it kind of works pretty well together. And now if you got some extra time and you're right on par with me, take this extra time to paint the edges of your canvas. Since we have that blue out, we can paint where the blue is, except on the edge here. I might I might even want to save this painting. So I'm going to paint the edges of it. Although it is very cheap and easy to go frame a 16 by 20, which is the standard size that I use, just because it's so easy to buy a frame for a 16 by 20. They're a dime a dozen. Not literally, but they're pretty cheap. Oh, I said I was going to take a break. You know, I might work through my break. We'll see. I'm going to do this real quick. Now I'm going to encourage all you guys to take a break too, just because you shouldn't be painting for over an hour straight. You're going to get exhausted. So when you're done with your water, you should take a break too. I'm just going to paint the other side of that real quick. The underside. And it doesn't look so bad upside down either. And voila. There we are. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back in a minute. If you want to, you should take a break too. If not, keep painting if you feel like you need to. But again, I would encourage a break. People aren't used to painting for 2 hours straight. So take a little short break. And I will be back in a minute.
I'm not on. Oh, wait. What do you want?
I'm still on break, but I just thought to myself, somebody of you might want the camera on so they can see where I'm at. In fact, I'm gonna put this one up too, so you guys can see things. There.
Hello, Papa. So it went there, right here. It's on the wheat hair. There we go.
So how you guys doing? How are you coming along? You making progress? Does anybody want to show and tell? Anybody want to share? Flip their camera around so I can see? Tips, tricks? Does anybody want some tips? Oh, this is upside down over here still. Somebody show me? Who's showing me? No one. Yeah, I'll still work it.
Guys, shh,
You guys still need another minute? Macy's doing fantastically well. Cranking it out.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
She did a great job, man.
Oh, man.
It's fine. It's already your paint sputter.
She's showing us all up. Get it all done first. Who, where? 1, 2, 3, show. Who's showing? Is somebody showing? Show me. Yes, there we go. Perfect. Hey, it's a good start. Is it smaller? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Not an illusion. There we go. We're coming along. Interesting. I like your take, Jamie. I like your take. All right, Heather. There we go. You guys are making it look easy. They got experience. They've done this before. Cool. All right. Well, we ready for round 2 here? Let's start round 2. Round 2 is just as easy as that last step. Only we're gonna make a couple different greens to start off with, and we're gonna fill in our water lilies with those. And then the final step is just touching up anywhere where it looks like we need to put some lighter lights, some darker darks, or some more shadows. Not working on that one. Working on this one. I'm gonna have so many water lilies in here when I'm done with this. Oh my goodness. You can see all my starry nights in the background, guys. Look how nice those starry nights look back there.
They look great.
I might have to do 4 or 5 more and just fill up the whole wall with starry nights. How fun would that be? Like 10 different starry nights on the wall. All right, so lots of different greens. So we got lots of different blues to start with, which is good. So I'm not gonna bother even rinsing out my brush from where I was before. I still have my blue all over my brush. I still have blue all over this. So back to elementary school. Who knows what we have to add?
Yellow.
Green.
Yellow, I heard it. Somebody had it right. Green. We got green. Well, if you got green straight from the tube. But, you know, I like to mix greens. Mixed greens are so much more natural than green straight from the tube. If you've got green straight from the tube, do some things to it. Add some white, add some yellow. Make it not green straight from the tube, because green straight from the tube is very meh. I'm going to grab some, though. I'm going to grab some of my straight from the tube green. But I am going to either add white or add yellow or add cyan to it, so it's not just straight green. And that is how my palette looks at the moment. Maybe a little bit of white. Do I have enough white? I got some white left over here.
Oh, I can fix this.
I got some white over here.
My paint's not drying, Dan.
What kind of paint are you using?
And stuff you are.
Do you have a humidifier?
Yeah.
You
I
do?
think that could be it.
That could be it. That could be the main difference.
Yeah.
You actually have humidity in your air.
I don't have any here.
Air, not hair.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All right, so we're just pretty much gonna fill in our water lilies, but we're gonna take an honest, concerted effort to not make them all just flat one color, because that's no fun. You can see from my example that there's lots of different greens in here, almost countless numbers of greens. Maybe you can't because the camera doesn't capture the color. Well, if I sent you the example photo, you'll see that in the example photo, there is a lot more color in it. I'm wondering if maybe the other camera will show the color better. Please show the color better. Drum roll, please. Not really. But you can tell that there's lots of different greens at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's countless. I can't count them all.
Like the shade isn't accurate, but you can see how different it is.
Right. Yes. That's a very good point. At least on this camera. On the other camera, you can't even. Oh, I wonder. I was going to see if I could do that last time. If I could turn off the zoom, whatever it is, the pimple remover.
The what?
There's like this smoothing filter that Zoom does automatically to smooth out your camera.
Oh, really?
To make you look better.
Well, that's going to take a lot of work for me.
It's AI at its finest. I mean, that's really what it's made for, right? So no, I don't see any options to get rid of that filter. Well, it is what it is. So filling in these guys with greens, lots of different greens, letting the colors mix, letting them blend. I'm gonna toss some yellow in with the colors that are on my palette here. I've got some cyan, some blues. It's all drying up on me though. I'm gonna spritz it with my water bottle, bring some life back into it.
Yeah. Fix this.
Bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
So I'm gonna get lots of different greens. I'm gonna make a green out of this blue. I'm gonna make a green out of this blue. See how different they come out. Yeah, this one's like a really olive green, whereas this one's more of a forest green. Then I got my green from the tube that I'm gonna kind of blend in there and mix it with all the rest. So there we go. I got lots of different greens to use. Look at all them greens. So now I'm gonna fill it in. I'm gonna kind of concentrate on, oops, I didn't clamp it down. I'm gonna concentrate on putting lighter greens towards the top, because remember the light's coming from the top somewhere. At least that's what I'm thinking for my composition anyway. Maybe yours, the light's coming from the right or the left or the bottom. But I kind of want the lightest water lily pads on top and the darker ones on the bottom. And immediately I noticed that this first stroke was super dark. So I'm going to overcompensate and put some light green around that area. Maybe throw just a whole bunch of white there on top of it. There we go. I like that better. That's a good green. So I'm gonna concentrate on going all over the place with all my different greens. So I end up with all my greens on all my leaves too. So none of them end up being one solid color, but I'm also taking some time over here to carefully find those edges. So while I'm being very expressive on other parts, I'm still being very careful around my petals here to preserve their white edges. And then once I get those white edges, then I can fill in this area real quick and fast. But I want to get those white edges first. I want to preserve all the way around my flower and make sure that I don't touch those white tips. I'm going to leave those tips white. And again, if you mess up, you can always touch it up after it dries. After it dries is always the best bet. I mean, unless you're doing something really loose and watery or painting on a flat surface, it's always best to just let it dry and then cover it up. I know in some other paintings, I've said the opposite, but that was because we were painting with a lot of water or doing fine details, or I said particularly to have an eraser in your other hand so we can erase and go back into a certain area. But in this case, I would let it dry and cover it up later if you make a mistake. Because we really want that confident look to it. And in order to achieve that confidence, we really want to just like lay down the brush stroke and let it lay where it lays. And if it's not right, then to do the same thing a second time after it dries. Confidence. This one's a little about confidence. Try to be a little more confident in your artwork. And I just made way too blue of a green there. Let me try again. Let's get some more yellow. Oh, you can be helpful if you can see what I'm doing. There you go. That's what I'm doing over here. And some yellow, lots of yellow. And then maybe adding a little bit of white so it's not so putrid of a green. A little lighter. And oh yeah, that's way different than the first one. Sweet. Fill in my edges. It's still a nice light green though. And I'm going all different directions when I paint them in. Taking some time to paint my edges over here too. But I don't want all of this to be olive green, so I want to make sure I use some of this phthalo blue and cyan to make it green too. Because I want some of these more of a darker green, deeper green. There we go. Filling this guy in. And the reason I did this last is because I want the water lily pads to go on top of the water. So let that stroke kind of go on top of the blue just a little bit, so it creates the illusion that they're on top. There you go. And filling in the gaps there. I don't know. I think it's looking pretty good. How's your guys' looking? Good? Bad?
Bad.
Am I going too fast? Too slow?
No,
No? Are you going too slow? Too fast?
mine's not drying.
Yours isn't drying.
No.
Well, that's okay. You might end up with a nice, good, thick look to it then.
Yeah, but I don't have all the colors in there because I got some whites messed up
Oh.
and I gotta fix them. So I gotta let them dry.
All right, yeah. Definitely pop those whites after it dries.
Yeah. Because I tried that and I got blue.
All right.
It came out green.
Yeah, so then you need a little dry time between layers. I got you.
Yeah.
So this one I'm using mostly green from the tube and a tiny bit of yellow and white for this next color to fill in the base of these last few lily pads. I think this one should go off the page this way. Here we go. It's hard for me to reach the side of the canvas the way I'm standing and painting. Hopefully it looks good when I stand back and look at it. We'll see. I'm letting some of my mixing happen on the canvas too. Like there's oftentimes I will dab into a color on my canvas. Like just now I touched the white on my canvas and let some of this mixing happen over here on the actual canvas. As I'm blending in colors and filling them together here. Why is it not wanting to cover on that spot? Get on that spot. All right, there we go. So there's a few more spots over here. I got a spot over here. Fill in. And I'm just letting it lie. And really by laying down the stroke and letting it lay down wherever you put it and try not to go back and touching it up, it not only creates that sense of confidence in your painting, but it also gives like a little bit more of an expressive quality to it. A lot more brush strokes going on. But I know some of you are the other type of personality that wants everything straight and aligned, and the type A personalities, right? And in that case, you probably can't help but blend the colors together perfectly and not have expressive strokes. There's some people where it's just impossible. I know when I first started painting, I had a problem doing that myself. And I still kind of do. I mean, you can see how sharp these lines are on the edge of my flower petals. If I had to critique myself, I'm doing all this expressive stuff elsewhere, but I still have these like crisp, sharp lines on the side of my water lilies, on the side of my petals. And that's kind of counteractive to what I'm trying to achieve with my expressive strokes. I'd like to be able to break the edge of that and make it not so straight, not so smooth. That's kind of like my dual personality showing through, is that I got like A and B going, that I like the messy stuff and I like the clean, precise mathematical stuff too. So you'll see that kind of show through in my composition if I had to psychoanalyze my own piece of art over here. But yeah, some people can't help it but do it like smooth all the way through, where they just have to have it flat. No matter how hard they try to let some brush strokes show, they still end up smoothing everything out. And that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing at all. So if you find yourself doing it, that's okay. And that's totally a perfectly natural thing if you find yourself doing, because it's just your mind's eye just wants to smooth it out. Maybe it's just something we've been taught since like elementary school to color it in nicely and evenly. And you just kick yourself if it's not. So it's maybe one of those things you got to unteach yourself to be able to not do it smoothly. So because my paints are drying so fast, it's maybe an advantage because it's forcing me to remix my colors constantly. I have like tons of different greens going on. You can see my palette. It's like my palette's kind of a work of art, actually. Maybe I should just hang this thing on the wall and call it a day.
Do that next time?
Maybe. How's your palette look?
That's okay.
Yeah, see, your palette's looking good. So
I got 3 of them.
If that happens, paint your canvas black, put it in the attic, and hang the palette on the wall and say you meant to do it that way. So I'm just taking my time and filling in these last couple green areas here. And I'm not taking time to try to match my greens. You can see that my greens are totally mismatching in all the areas I'm trying to put them in. And I think that's going to help too. It's going to help give it a little more of an artistic quality. Oh, I don't know what happened to that green. That green ended up real dark. I actually didn't mean to do that, but that's going to be all right because I think I was going to add a shadow under there anyway. Add a little darker. So that worked out to my benefit. That little happy accident. I still don't have quite as much variation in my greens as I did in my first time around. So now that I have the whole thing all the way covered, now I'm going to kind of concentrate on laying just some different greens and some different textures over the top. I kind of went all one way with my strokes too. I'm going to put a couple brush strokes to kind of simulate some veins in the water lily pads. So I'm just going to put some more colors on top. Typically, they're going to be lighter colors than are already there, but I might change my mind. I might break my own rule, and I might put some darker colors on top too. So now I've got a nice light green. I'm just going to maybe throw some lighter green on the spots that I want some highlights to pop, which is like on this lily pad, pretty much anywhere except for your underneath the flowers where we're going to put some lighter highlights. So on this lily pad, and I'm just doing some brush strokes kind of going across the opposite direction that I was painting the first time, just to show like just a couple little veins in my water lily pad. Can you see how I did that there? Just did a couple of vertical strokes going across to show just a little bit that there's a little texture to that leaf there. And I'm going to do the same thing to some of these other ones too, like this one down here. Maybe I'm going to go across this way a couple times and give it some veins coming off of it. And even though this one's in a shadow, I may put just a couple over here. And then wherever else I feel like there needs to be a little more highlight, just to create some variation, because I don't want all these, this lily pad looks all one color to me, so I'm going to add just a little more color to this guy over here, and maybe a little more color to that lower left-hand one. It just looks a little bland over here to me. I want some more color. There we go. Still see a couple white spots. I'm covering up a couple of white spots that are showing through here and there. This might want to blend in together a little bit. I know I said let it lie, and I went back and I covered that up. I should have let that lie. Come on, get on that spot right there. Right there. Sometimes you gotta tell the paint what to do too. If it's not working for you, try that. Try bossing it around a little bit. It helps. Really try it. Get on that canvas where you're supposed to. Just get on there. You'd be surprised. A little bit of honest, extra concerted mental effort goes a long way. So now that I'm essentially done with that, I'm going to take a little bit more time with my edges. I'm sure you guys are still working on those lily pads, so I'm going to give you a few more minutes to work on that before I jump to the next step. But the final step is we're going to put those little yellow stamen in the middle of our flower, and then we're just going to accentuate anything that needs to pop. And most of the time, it's throwing in some darkest darks in here. Throw a couple shadows in there, really kind of make the water lily pop off the canvas a little bit. But other than that, we're almost done. We're on the home stretch here. And yeah, we're totally ahead of schedule. So plenty of time to paint or to ask questions, or I'll hang out with you on Zoom online until you're completed. And hopefully we'll get everybody done actually during the scheduled time of the painting class. That would be crazy.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm the one that missed the beginning.
What's up?
My flower, I think I missed the technique that you were talking about.
Yeah.
How do you make that flower again?
Oh, sure. I have no problem going back over that again. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to this original canvas over here and put a little mini one over here for you so you can kind of see how I did it. This guy needs a little bit of drying time anyway. Got a little thick. Got paint all over myself. So I am using a nice wide flat brush, which is kind of the key. If you don't have a wide flat brush, I suggest you get one. This one is about an inch wide, but a 3/4 one will probably work just as well, a 3/4 inch one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load one side of the brush up with that light lavender purple, and the other side of the brush is gonna be lined up, loaded up with white. And I can do that really simple. And of course, all my white and lavender is already dry over here, so I'm gonna make a little bit more for myself. Let me just pop back here for a second. So I am throwing some more white on I literally have no more white left here, so I'm gonna put lots of it there. And I have a little bit of magenta and blue left, so I'm gonna use this little bit of magenta and this little bit of blue to make a nice purple. Give me 1 second. All right, so I got a nice purple there. So now I gotta clean off my brush now that I made my purple. Hopefully you got some purple from the tube. Hey honey, remind me to get some purple next time I was at the store, all right? Sweet. I'm gonna get some purples. So what you do is on the one side of your brush, you literally just wipe it. I didn't make enough purple. You wipe it on the one side of the brush and then white on the other side of the brush. And you can see that I have both colors on the brush at the same time. Then you find a blank spot on your canvas or on your palette, and you wipe your brush back and forth, left to right, making sure not to flip the brush, because as soon as you flip the brush, you mess up your nice little gradient that you got going. But the key is to make it a nice gradient going from your purple to a nice white, a little heavier on the white side than on the purple side, so they end up a nice light color in the middle. I kind of made that mistake with my first time around. I made it a little too dark. They looked a little too much like octopus tentacles. But after you do that and you got your brush fully loaded, once it's fully loaded, that means the paint should go about 3/4 of the way up the brush. And you can see how it did that. And once you do that, you can make 1 or 2 brush strokes depending on how dry it is in your house. And to make a brush stroke, what I do, and now I'm going to zoom in a little closer, is I start with the brush nice and wide, the full width of the brush. And then as I'm painting the stroke, I tilt it sideways, so it ends up coming to a point. And I also lay down more pressure at the beginning of the stroke and less pressure as I'm bringing the stroke up. So as I talked there, I dried up a little bit. So I'm just gonna wipe it back and forth just a couple more times on my gradient back and forth. And I'm going to just lay down, maybe I'll put another little guy over here in the corner. So I start off wide and then I go thinner as I reach the tip of my stroke. Now this bigger one, obviously it's on a grander scale. You can do it twice the size. I'm gonna do just a little guy over here though. So I'm starting with the width of my brush, and I'm coming to a point with my brush and releasing pressure and letting go. And you can see that kind of made half of the flower petal. And then the other half, I just flip my brush around the other way and do the opposite. So I start wide again, I tilt my brush till it comes to a point, and then release pressure. And that's how I've been doing my petals. I worked my way around and kind of made a nice little circle, and then did it again to create another layer. And then I kind of just brushed in these guys in the middle. Well, this is still wet actually here in the middle. So I'm actually going to finish painting this guy over here. Might as well. I can tell you guys are all still busily painting. So I'm going to actually finish this other water lily in the upper left here, this little guy. I added a lot more magenta to my brush just now. This one's gonna be a lot pinker. So again, start wide and then coming to a pointed tip. Now you can't see it really good right off the bat, but once you paint the edges of the water and whatnot, you'll be able to see the edges of those petals a little bit better. Is that a good enough description? Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. So I start with the wide and then I turn the brush to a point.
Yeah, you kind of pivot as you're painting your brush stroke.
That is cool. Okay. And what direction should I pivot, to the white or to the purple?
So you want your purple in the center of your petal. So depending on where your petal is, so if you're doing the top side of this petal, you want the purple to be downwards. But if you're doing the bottom side of the petal, you want the purple to be upwards because you want it to end up in the middle. And if you mess up, I'd say just let it dry and try again. And this is a good technique to practice. I mean, you can paint all sorts of different flowers and all sorts of different things using the same technique. So it's a good one to practice and learn if you don't pick it up on the first try. To keep trying because there's lots of fun flowers. I wonder if I can find another flower painting around here that's painted similarly. I know I've got one floating around here somewhere. Maybe I'll find one in just a second for you. But to show you all the different kinds of flowers you can paint using the same technique.
Yeah.
There's lots of different cool ones, including roses. Roses are probably the most fun. So I'm just doing another layer. So that first layer is kind of dry already for me. So now I'm just going around and doing another layer of those guys. And that's the same thing I did with this first one, only on a bigger scale. I might have so many water lilies. Yeah, this one's gonna be a little different because this one's gonna have 2 lilies in it. So I'm gonna pop back to the one that I was working on. So we can do our couple final steps on this bad boy. So I still feel like I went too dark with the purple on this one. Come on, stay. My original copy is definitely not that dark throughout each petal. Maybe it is and I'm just imagining it. I don't know. I guess it's about the same. This one's just a little bluer. This one's maybe a little more magenta.
There are different strains of lilies.
Different strains. Yes, absolutely. I'm noticing on this one the first one that I painted, there's actually there's no paint right there. That's just bare canvas. All right, so I'm actually going to switch brushes. I don't switch brushes very often, but I'm switch brushes here. I'm moving to a smaller pointed brush, something like that. Or if you got one like that, as long as it comes to a point, it'll work pretty well for you. And I'm not going to use straight yellow from the tube. I'm going to use a lot of white with the yellow. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here real quick. I'll pop over here. So I got mostly white on my brush already. I kind of tapped into my white, and now I'm just going to touch my pile of yellow. So it's mostly white with a little bit of yellow on my brush. And I got it overloaded too. So it's kind of the opposite of how I had my brush loaded a second ago with that nice even gradient. That brush was like perfectly properly loaded. This is what an overloaded brush looks like. I showed it to you a second ago and it actually came to a point. So when your brush doesn't come to a point anymore, that means it's overloaded. You either need to squeeze it out on a paper towel or on your fingertips. But in this case, I want my overloaded brush. I want a nice overloaded brush to make these squiggly stamen coming out the middle.
Can you zoom in?
Yes. Yeah, you can't even see that at all. Jeez, what am I doing? Come on, Dan. You can't see him there either. Oh, what the heck? It's too bright. It's better though. You can kind of see. All right, so I'm putting my little squiggles, and I'm just doing like little wormy squiggles coming from the center of where my flower is, and they're hiding behind these frontmost petals. So I'm gonna try to tuck them in there. Try to give them just enough room to nestle into this little blanket of a flower petal right here. What did I do? 4 or 5? There's like 5 of them on there. Man, you really can't see it. I'm gonna try to hold it up closer to the camera and see if it makes any difference whatsoever so you can see. Man, oh man, you can hardly see that at all. Hey, there we go. There we go, guys. That's what I did.
Oh, okay, cool.
There we are. That makes a little more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Man, from a foot away, you can't see it. Like I said, I needed like a 24K resolution camera. These 4K things aren't cutting it. We need to jump a couple generations.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can barely see them from when I put it back. Grandpa Jim didn't see though. Grandpa Jim.
I saw.
Did you see?
I did. Thank
All
you.
right, cool. Pretty thick right here. I got like a thick booger of blue right here. You guys can't see it. I can see it. It's just glaring to me. Plus I have like a highlight coming from this white over here, and it's making this booger of blue stand out. So, shadows. Yeah, we need some dark shadows underneath, and any other touch-ups that we want to do on our leaves. I feel like I want to put some more, just some straight white on some spots of these leaves, just to pop some of the highlights. I don't like this leaf right here in particular got a little too dark for my taste, so I want to put a little more white on there. But you know, depending on how your flower turned out, you might want to touch up different spots than I do. But I am for sure going to put a nice dark shadow underneath, and you can see how much impact that's going to have on the final product. That shadow really does make a huge difference. So I'm going to have to pop back after you do your little yellow stamen. You guys mostly done with your stamens? Yep. Is it the consensus? Can I have thumbs up? Thumbs up would work too. Thumbs up. Stamens are done. Sweet, 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 sweet. All right, we're gonna do our dark shadow then. I'm gonna touch up my stamen just a little bit. We'll maybe put a couple little dots on it. Here's the pollen dots. Dot, 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 dot. All right. So, having too much fun now. We are going to make our darkest dark. So whatever you got left, I don't like using black, so I'm going to use what I have left. I've got some blue left over here. I've got some purple left over here, maybe even a little red. So I'm going to use those dark colors, everything except for yellow pretty much. I'm going to use some of those dark colors to make a darkest dark. It might turn out greenish looking, and that is okay as long as I end up with a darker color than the rest of the canvas. So a little bit of red goes a long way if you end up with a dark green. And I'm going to use that darkest dark green too. And I'm going to prop up my canvas again so I can get to the very bottom. But I'm going to put a nice drop shadow on my lily. And if you don't have one underneath your lily pads, because mine ended up kind of happening as I was painting, how I ended up with dark blue and then a lighter blue. If you didn't end up with that darker blue underneath your lily pads, I would say go ahead and put some darker blue underneath the bottom side of your lily pad. Like this one over here, I could use some on mine actually. I could use some darkest dark blue over there. But right now I'm making my darkest dark green. So I used as much green and blue and then just touched my red until it ended up the darkest green. Because if I add too much red, it's gonna end up turning like almost black. So I still want it to look a little bit of green shining through. And I'm gonna try to lay it down with one stroke, but sometimes it's not possible. Oh, I know I have another brush over here. I'm going to use another flat brush for this, but about half size. So I'm using my my half-inch flat brush to drop in these shadows. That way they stay kind of consistent size as I'm dragging them down. But you can see already how that just added so much more depth to that lily that these three petals are like jumping off my canvas now compared to the rest. So we're going to do a little drop shadow on the rest of the spots that need it. I need one like kind of over here on this big leaf. In fact, I'm going to drop it down even lower to make it look like it's even popping up higher. So the shadow for this leaf is actually right here. See, I dropped it down like a whole inch. See how I did that? And that makes it look like that leaf is even popping up even higher. Then put a little more dark right there underneath. So try that out on the leaves that are popping out the most. Maybe even this one on this side can pop up that much. So just drop it down like an extra inch and almost redraw that shape. And then fill that in with your shadow. That makes a real nice drop shadow there. I almost want mine to be darker still. Come on, dark. Get dark. I tell you, I shout at your paints sometime. Get dark. Darker paints. There we go. So I just added a little bit more red to my green. A little more red, a little more blue to it, just to make it a little bit darker there. And now I'm gonna make a nice dark blue. So I'm gonna start with that same color, and I'm just gonna add blue to it till it kind of blues up a little bit. So I got that dark green. Wow, you can't even tell the difference. Well, maybe you can if I hold it nice and close. Hey, there we go. So I'm making a mess right now. I'm just adding a bunch of blue to this dark color, and I'm making a nice deep dark blue. And I'm gonna use that underneath these couple of water lily pads that I feel need a little dark underneath them. This one over here. This one over here. Maybe in this little indent right here too. What are we thinking? How are we looking, guys? Good, bad, ugly? Paint it white, use it for next time. Paint it black, put it in the attic. That's Mr. Wood's phrase. You remember old Mr. Wood, Jamie?
Yeah, he let me eat lunch in there every day.
I remember Mr. Wood.
Totally, of course you remember Mr.
I think you were in there every day too. That's why.
Yeah, I was in there every day with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was fun.
And a couple other Orchesis girls.
Really? I thought I was the only one. I guess I was.
I remember a couple others ones in there. I know Abby Siborowski was quite the artist.
Oh yes, the nice girls.
She was always hanging out in there. Julie Haas, not Julie Haas, Jenny Haas.
Jenny Haas, yeah.
Who's not Haas anymore? I don't know her last name. So.
That was the one that was in Playboy.
She sure was. Woohoo!
We all knew that.
You know, I was in an episode actually. No,
of Playboy? No. I wish. That's hilarious.
Weren't you in an episode? You were in an issue too?
Me? No, absolutely not. I was on America's Got Talent though once.
You did?
Yeah, I was a backup dancer. So I was wearing a terrible mask. So even if I told you I did it, if you watched it, you'd be like, that's not you.
Well, Annie remembers, so.
Yeah, we did it on Facebook. It was fun.
I told you, that's why we got married, so you can remember things.
Exactly. Oh, Annie saw it then.
Annie totally remembers it. She
Yeah.
remembers everything. She is helpful when it comes to that stuff, that's for sure. So I touched up I put those shadows in there. I touched up my whites, I touched up my darks, and now it's just a matter of, like where it needs it, really. You're all the artists of your own masterpiece there. So if you feel like another spot needs a little bit more work, go for it. If you feel like it doesn't, then call it done. If now is the time to call it done, then I would suggest while you still have paints on your canvas or on your palette, that you sign it with a color that you have. So it kind of blends in a little bit. That your signature doesn't stand out as the brightest thing on there. That's also why I don't recommend signing it with Sharpie when you're done, because it really stands out. It reflects color differently too, so it's more reflective of ink. Your signature kind of pops out if you use a ink at the end. So yeah, use a color that you have, maybe a pointed brush. I want a little more texture here. This looks really bland to me, so I'm just gonna do a few more brush strokes just to add a little more life to some of the areas that I feel are too bland. Maybe change up my blues if you got any blues left. I don't have too much left. But I just feel like some of the stuff is still see-through over here. Like I still see some white on my canvas, so I'm just kind of covering up those spots that are still a little bit see-through. And while doing so, I'm doing some more mark making, leaving some of these brush strokes on there. And you can't see them at all, so I'm going to zoom in again here. I'm going to bring this closer to the camera so you can see what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm letting a lot of these brush strokes, lie. So you can see right in the middle. You couldn't see that a second ago, but I'm letting some of those colors just lay where I put them and trying not to touch them up. Just let some of those scribbles, see I got some scribbles there on top of my lily pad. I'm going to let some of that stuff show through and really try my hardest not to blend that together as much as I want to. And it ends up being much more expressive in the end. It gives it much more texture and expression. This middle looks like it needs something. It does. My middle needs a little shadow. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of purple here while you guys are touching up too. How do your middles look? Do your middles look like they need a little shadow?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a little. I'm gonna try to mix a similar. If I can, I'm gonna try to mix a similar purple to what I had before. I should have something left that's still. There's a little bit of light.
Dan, do you know who needs to come to one of these?
Who?
Mr. Clapp.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Clad. We can probably get
Is he your friend on Facebook too? He's funny.
You know what? I'm doing some free events soon just to get promotion, just do some grassroots promotion. And this one was actually part of it too, the Name Your Price event.
Yeah.
So more of these grassroots ones where the price is either really low or free. Man, I'm sure we can get some of our old teachers to come in there.
Oh, Clapp makes good money. He'll come.
For sure, for sure.
We just have to invite him. I'll harass him.
Will you?
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, he's very fun.
I actually have Mr. Wood in my friends group too. Mr. Wood's, in case some of you didn't go to my high school, Mr. Wood's my old art teacher from high school. And yeah, he's still in my friends. In fact, my very first art teacher, you may know her too, Mrs. Popko. It'd be like Jared Popko.
Oh, for real? She was there?
She was my very first art teacher. I still like vividly remember my very first art class with her too, which was like when I was like 8 years old.
That's cool.
It was like what inspired me to be an artist today.
Oh,
Rhonda Popko, yeah.
Rhonda.
But I know she was doing some wine and paint classes too before the COVID struck. Before COVID era. It's gonna be a whole era. Man.
Feels like.
All right, so what was I saying? I'm gonna put a little shadow on my, because this looks especially on camera, this looks entirely white, even though there is a little bit of texture of purple in there. So I mixed up like my lavender again. It looks a little pink on camera, but it's like a lavender color. And I'm just gonna accentuate the side of the middle bud of the flower. I'm sure there's a technical name for that too. So I've got like a shadow color made for my flower here, for my petals. It's almost the same as the middle color for my other petals here. And if you feel like your petals need any shadows anywhere, you could use that same color throughout. Maybe pop a couple of these petal shadows that feel like they need it. Like this guy right here needs a little shadow. And maybe this guy over here needs a little shadow. There. Yeah, it's popping out a little bit. See that? Popping.
Funny costume.
Steady's onesie.
Did you pop some shadows?
Yeah.
Make sure Macy pops some shadows over there.
Oh yeah.
Pop some shadows. She's been done for like an hour already.
Yeah, she finished.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that same color while it's on my brush, just to add a little bit of texture to my leaves too, just so they don't look so dang uniform. A little shadow, a little texture.
He's letting the dogs.
You still can barely see it on camera. I'm gonna scoot closer here. I'm not gonna have any room to paint, but why is it so bright today? We got too much light on it? There we go. That's better.
No.
Oh, is this? I think I might have had too much light on it. It was getting overly saturated. So, and if you're on the other side of the spectrum and you feel like your flower got too dark, which again, I feel like mine did in some spots, you can come back with just some straight white from the tube and touch up where you feel maybe it got a little too dark. Maybe I feel like this purple got a little too dark on the tips here. I'm taking that back a little bit. But this is going to be, I think, my final touch-up. Yeah, a little too purple over here, so I'm gonna taper back this purple here, just a little bit. And then where some of these petals, maybe on the top edge of them, I can make them pop a little bit more. Using a hair dryer? Hey, whatever works. So it seems like in my example, I have a few more brush strokes of a more purplish lavender. But the one that I have on currently on my flower is all that pinkish purple. So if I'm going to be a little extra picky in the end here, I'm going to add just a few strokes of that other kind of purple. It's more based on the ultramarine. And I know I said my last touch up was going to be the last touch up, but this for sure is going to be my last touch up. So I'm just gonna add, it's just another purple I made. So this lavender has just got a little bit more ultramarine. You can tell that I used a little more blue in the base of it. I just want another different kind of purple. Ooh, it's a little spud.
You arted.
I arted.
Excuse me.
Oh, I just arted. I arted all over my room.
We arted. That was fun.
So here is this other blue purple. I'm just adding a little bit of it to it just so I can have a different purple in my flower. But other than that, guys, we're
almost
finished. How did you guys do? I'd love to see how your guys has turned out. Who wants to show and tell? Or if you're not done, take your time painting here.
Can you zoom in on the center of the flower?
Yes, I can. Absolutely. Nice job, Heather.
Thank you.
Looking real good. Looking real good.
Mine's still not dry.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
going
using a hair dryer.
It must have been just endless globs.
He's getting real thick. He's getting real thick with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
Dang! Is it Grandpa?
Family.
Heck yeah! Wow.
Oh yeah.
You guys gonna see me? I'm like, what? Going on there.
Hi, Annie.
Oh, somebody said hi, Annie. Who was that?
Hi, Jen.
Was it Grandpa Jim with it?
My love to Judy.
Give my love to Judy, she said.
Annie says hi, Jude. Judy says hi, Annie.
Oh, why aren't you
go on
paint,
for
Judy?
days.
You're gonna get a brush in Judy's hands one of these days.
She uses a hairbrush.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm not going to be able to finish mine till later.
That's all right. I still love to see it when you're done.
You got your lily pad in there too.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah. Because I got one petal that's really good.
Dude.
One turned out all right?
One petal.
It isn't.
Good.
No, it's
At the
totally
beginning,
gone.
I was like, ooh, what's
Yeah.
happening?
Totally gone now. Now it's got like a. That's cool.
I think
How you art.
I knocked canvas.
Passionate artist.
Yeah, I aggressively art.
Alrighty, guys. Oh, I didn't sign mine. So unless you guys have any other questions after I'm done signing mine, I might end the Zoom call early and call it an early weekend. But I'd love to answer any questions you have before I sign off. If you've got any other, if you're stuck on anything, if you need any other tips, tricks, advice.
Wait, I'm gonna show and tell.
Yeah, see Jamie's.
Oh, cool. We'll see Jamie's. Yeah, don't rush. I'm gonna take my time signing my name here.
Probably good.
I'm gonna make my name beautiful here.
I apologize. I don't follow directions very well, Dan.
No worries.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I love how it turned out. I love it. I
It's
absolutely love
banana.
it.
It's not a lily. Wait, look close. There's more detail. It's pretty. I like it.
I like
You
it.
are an artist. That is fantastic.
Hey.
It's got so much feeling in it.
That's how I paint. I just like I get in.
Oh, Annie just said it looks more like a lily than mine.
No.
Like if you look at an actual lily, like a lily, like a daylily.
Dan, yours looks like a stargazer lily.
Yeah, well now I gotta work on mine more. No, I'm gonna sign my name here. gonna sign my name on the left, just because there's more room over there. I want purple. I want purple today.
Oh, stop it.
And it's really just a scribble, scramble. There we go. Ooh, and this I think might be my first painting of the new year. So I'm
Yay! I show you.
one.
I show you what my lily looks like.
I want to see.
Yeah, let's see. Let's check it out. It's like a lionfish, like a super detailed, highly rendered illustration.
Well, that's a picture of what mine looks like.
You goof.
Gotta have fun.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and cut out early. Wait, I didn't see the Brown family over here. You got anything to show and tell? Uh-oh. They're gonna retry. They're gonna try again later. She's gonna show me something. She's gonna show me something she painted last week. Here.
Well, I'll do mine because
There we
everybody
go.
else did.
Hey, awesome sauce. Is that 12 by 16?
Yeah.
That worked out quite well. That worked out quite well. Emily, what do we got? Oh, Miss Grandpa Jim, that turned out great. Oh, Emily, you look at you. You're showing me up, Emily. That looks fantastic.
My purple went like steel blue.
Interesting.
Just, I figured I would just roll with it.
I really like it because I hate how pink mine turned out.
If ours had a baby, then it would be the right color.
Perfect, then. It's perfect. All right, guys, you have yourself a splendid evening. I will post this on YouTube. It's going to take a day or two, but I will send you the link after it's posted so you can try again if you'd like.
Happy New Year, all.
And yeah, Happy New Year, and I'll see you again next time. I know I only have one future event on there, but there's going to be lots more coming up there soon. So keep your eyes peeled on Mr. Paint Party and on my Facebook and whatnot. And I'll probably tag you guys in some of them anyway. So I'll see you guys all again soon.
Okay, bye now.
Thank you, Dan. Love you.
Thank you, Dan. Yay.
Thank you for coming, guys.
It was so fun.
Have a great night.
Bye.